As an Airbnb host, you need to balance guest privacy with the need to protect your property, which is not an easy decision. In this episode, you will learn the pros and cons of having a camera in your Airbnb and exactly what you need to do to not have your listing shut down. We're breaking down our clients' camera dilemmas and the study data from 1,000 guests that you need to know to make the best possible decision for your Airbnb. Let's jump in.
Let's start by never putting a camera inside your Airbnb. I just had a client who had purchased a property and the prior owner had a camera inside the property and was arrested, taken away, and jailed. So they had to go back into their property and make sure that no cameras were there. So I know you're never going to put one inside, but maybe even go and check on a new property to make sure that something hadn't previously been installed. They appealed it with Airbnb. Obviously, it wasn't them doing it, and they got the listing re-established, but it was very traumatic.
Just to add a little more color, the clients of ours had purchased this Airbnb, completely renovated it, and then the husband was reading in the newspaper and saw the name of the person they purchased from, and then realized that their Airbnb listing had been shut down because of the old owner's super badness. So they fixed it and they didn't find any cameras. But can you imagine how creepy and terrible it would be if they hadn't renovated and there was a hidden camera? These people have children, and this creepo guy could have been spying on their unsuspecting guests. So takeaway number one, if you get nothing else from this episode, be sure to check your property for hidden cameras before you list on Airbnb, and never ever install a camera inside of your property.
We don't have any cameras inside any of our 14 Airbnbs. We do have a few outside cameras on our properties, particularly like the top of mountain properties, mainly so we can gauge like the weather. If there's snow, is it safe? What's the driveway conditions like? Do we need to have them plowed? Some pros of outside cameras. They're helpful in keeping your Airbnb safe as it sits empty and can provide evidence of property damage or parties or undisclosed guests if an issue arises. The mentioning of the camera on the property does give guests more incentive to be honest about following house rules, about not bringing unauthorized pets or visitors into the Airbnb.
And I can speak to this. I am a super rule follower in all things, including being an Airbnb guest. And I rented an Airbnb for my sister-in-law's bridal shower. And I saw that there were cameras and was incredibly careful to notify the host saying, hey, is it okay if our elderly aunts come for a tea party from 2 to 4 and I could pay any extra fees? And they were very gracious and didn't care at all. But I think I would have done that anyway. But knowing there were cameras, I was super, super on it about that.
So if you do install a camera, don't be the host that's watching your guests' comings and goings and sitting there and then messaging them about any tiny little things that you see. That's really an invasion of privacy, and it's going to result in a poor review.
Oh yeah, do not be a Karen. I see this Karen type behavior on a couple different Facebook groups for women short-term rental owners. And, oh my gosh, I just checked the camera and I think there might be 3 people instead of 2 people. Should I storm over there and confront the guests? And literally 50% of comments are like, you should. It's your right as an Airbnb host, and how dare they? If you follow that advice, A, you're going to get a terrible review, and B, you're probably going to get thrown off the Airbnb platform. So be cool if you have a camera.
And we have to disclose them. We must disclose the camera in our Airbnb listing. Airbnb takes this really seriously. Guests take it seriously. And a Ring doorbell counts as a camera. So you have to disclose those. I had a situation where I had a game camera set up on my deck and I'd completely forgotten about it. It was before we had the property as an Airbnb. I don't think the batteries had worked in years. It was just on the deck. And a guest messaged really unhappy about, you must disclose this. And so, of course, I went right over. I disclosed it. I took it off. So even a game camera that you've got somewhere on your property,
in the
just
woods,
pointed into the woods, that has to be disclosed.
And if you're not from a rural area and don't know what a game camera is, it's a camera that people set up to see wildlife in their property area. Deer, bear, squirrels, raccoons, that sort of thing. It's not for video games or anything like that.
Right. Not a Nintendo game camera.
No.
And even non-working cameras. We bought a cabin and it has a really nice like fisheye. I don't even know if there's a camera in there.
I don't think
but
so.
It's housing, but we had to disclose it and we made sure to disclose it. Someday I'll go and see what's in there, but non-disclosing a camera is an instant shutdown of your Airbnb listing. So make sure to disclose.
Absolutely.
Some cons of outside cameras: guests may feel that a camera is an invasion of their privacy and not really be able to fully relax.
Yeah, a significant number of potential guests say that the presence of a camera would make them less likely to book a property. In fact, safehome.org recently conducted a study, and 42% of potential renters said that the presence of a security camera would make them less likely to book a vacation property. A study that we referenced from Safe Home found that the boomers generation feel significantly safer when a camera is present. But on the flip side, this really surprised me, the younger the generation that is exposed to a camera, the less safe they feel. So, if you're renting to super young folks, probably don't want a camera. If you have an older clientele, it may actually be a benefit.
Right. So, what kind of cameras to install? After hearing all this, you feel like you want to have a camera at your Airbnb. Be smart about what kind of camera you choose. So, this is the old reliable Ring doorbell. It has a battery, and that battery needs to be replaced periodically. Or you can buy a transformer on Amazon, a 12-volt transformer, and hardwire it and just kind of get the wires back behind the wall.
And Cullen says you can hardwire it. Cullen can hardwire it, but most people end up hiring an electrician to do this for them.
I guess so. My personal favorite is actually the Ring floodlight because it is hardwired, right? You have to wire to the light. And the expectation of privacy, it is definitely looking over just the driveway. It's not looking at people coming in the front door. Another option for kind of hedging against the battery issue is the Blink cameras have like a 1 year long battery life. The disadvantage is that it's a two-part system. So you have the camera outside that's battery operated, but it communicates back to a small Wi-Fi Bluetooth type device that needs to be plugged into the wall. And that piece endlessly gets disconnected. Either the housekeeper is disconnecting it because they're using the vacuum, or a guest needs to use that outlet to charge their phone. But I find that one super unreliable.
Easy to install, very hard to actually have operate. And going back to what Cullen was saying about the floodlight, that is a really good choice. However, if you were going to use it, pro tip, turn off the motion sensing alerts. Otherwise, you are going to get blown up with endless motion notices because of birds, bats, and best yet, moths flying by. When we first got it, we were all excited. It was like motion sensor, motion sensor. And we were like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Is someone there? And it was moths. The other thing is to think about this from a guest perspective. It really flips guests out. If they're standing in the living room and all of a sudden the motion light on the top deck goes off, they're going to message you and ask what's happening. And then you have to explain about moths or bats, which are not guests' favorite things to think about while they're on vacation.
So there you have it. You now know to never put a camera inside your Airbnb. You also learned how cameras in your listing can impact your bookings and the rules for disclosing them, and how the age of your guest avatar might weigh into the balance of whether you put a camera in to safeguard your property or skip it and protect the guest's privacy. Keep listening to the Host Coach Show. We're here every Tuesday sharing actionable, real-life advice, systems, and software to help you fast-track the success of your Airbnb and achieve a life of financial freedom.
If you are a visual learner or prefer to stream your content, check out this and our other episodes on the new Host Coach YouTube channel.
Should you need guidance to make sure you're making the right decision with your Airbnb investment, that's what we do. Head over to hostcoach.co to book a free 30-minute coaching call with us. And remember,
our joy is in your success.